Hi writers, Mrs. Damazi here with another top-notch teaching lesson. Before we get started, remember to subscribe so you know every time I upload a new video, and you can follow me on Teachers Pay Teachers at Top Notch Teaching Lessons. This is another lesson on our personal narratives, and it's a really exciting lesson because as you continue to draft your first personal narrative, you're also going to take stock and think about your goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of this unit and reevaluate them and maybe make yourself a new goal before you begin your second scene of your personal narrative. Before we get started, remember that we are in the drafting stage of the writing process. That means you're writing fast and furiously. You're not worried about spelling, you're not worried about punctuation, you're not worried about how you're organizing your thoughts. You just want to get all of your thoughts down on paper because then you have more writing to work with. Today, you are going to take stock of your writing and set some new goals. But you're also going to be working on telling your story in scenes because yesterday you only told one story. So today you're going to be you only told one scene. So today you're going to be telling another scene and you're going to be taking stock of your writing and setting goals. Before you start doing that, let's look at the things that really great personal narrative writers do in their writing. Some of this stuff we haven't even talked about. So when you're looking at this, you might check that you haven't done it yet. It's not something you've done, or maybe you're starting to do it, or maybe you have done it. So overall, you're telling your story bit by bit. Think, am I playing a movie in my head and writing that down for my reader so that when my reader reads, they can see every part of the movie? Did you hook your reader with a strong beginning? Is my reader going to be really excited to read my personal narrative, or is it kind of boring? Here are craft moves that are really important when you are writing a personal narrative. So you want to show rather than tell. That means you're playing a movie in your head and you're showing what's happening. You're not telling what's happening. For example, you're showing that somebody is falling down by saying, his knee touched the ground and then his whole body was splayed out on the ground after falling off his bike. Instead of saying he fell off his bike. Then that means the reader can really picture how it was that that person, that character in your book, fell off his bike. I brought my story to life by adding dialogue. So you're not just writing what somebody says, you're writing what people say back and forth to each other. I brought my story to life by adding onomatopoeia. Those are sounds. So for instance, if there's a bumblebee around you, you might hear bzzz. That helps your reader to not only see the video and the movie that you're playing for them in their head, but to also hear what that video and that movie sounds like. Your ending. I wrote an excellent ending that summed up the heart of my story and left my readers knowing why this moment was important to me. Conventions comes at the end. This comes during editing time. So you don't really need to worry about this part, but just know that when we get to editing, we're going to talk about paragraphs, we're going to talk about spelling and grammar, and we're going to talk about quotation marks. Now, at the beginning of this unit, I wrote a goal, and my goal was about adding more action into my writing. But today, I want to work on incorporating even more. After looking at that checklist, I'm thinking, well, I really want to work on adding even more craft moves. I do want to continue working on showing and not telling. That's adding action. But I do want to also work on adding in more dialogue and adding in sounds because I think when I write my scene 2 today that I will be able to do that. So I first want to remember what my original goal is, and then I want to make a new goal. I've also put some more goal ideas right here if you're thinking that maybe you need some more ideas. So remember, my original goal was to work on adding action to my writing. I know that I've been playing a movie in my head to picture the action. I think I could probably work on adding more action, but I know I am ready to take on a new goal. So here's my new goal. My new goal is going to be to work on adding more craft moves. I want to add more dialogue that makes my story interesting. I also want to add onomatopoeia so that my reader does not only see the movie, but so that my reader can also hear the movie. If you're looking for more goal ideas, you could work on writing longer, you could work on a better lead. That's at the beginning, hooking your reader. You could work on longer, fancier sentences. Maybe you want to add more action. Maybe you want to incorporate more dialogue like me. Maybe you want to look at some personal narrative books or other personal narratives that writers have written and look at the things that they did really well and try to, copy what they did and try their moves. So here is where I am. Yesterday I wrote scene 1. Today I am writing scene 2. So I'm going to remind myself of what that scene is. Okay, we're setting up a picnic. That's what this whole scene is about. I do need to connect this scene to this scene. So I need to explain that we're hiking and now we're going to set up a picnic. So I need to have a little bit of a bridge there where we're hiking and then we find the picnic table. But I want to incorporate what it is that we are eating. I want to talk about how we have a bench in the shade, and I want to talk about how my mom started cutting up the apple. So here is my scene 2. Notice that my scene 2 starts right here because I wrote 2. It's not a new story or a new chapter. It's just kind of a new scene. So it continues to go, but I did want to put a 2 here so I can remember when I'm going back and looking at my writing that, oh yeah, this was my next sticky note. Are you getting hungry? I asked. Yes, let's find a good shady spot to rest and eat, my mom said. It only took a few more minutes to find the perfect picnic bench in the shade. This is so peaceful, I whispered as I looked at how the tree limbs formed a canopy over our heads. Zip! My mom began unpacking our picnic. We had cheese, crackers, salami, apples, and snap peas. As I began opening the crackers, my mom started cutting the apple. Notice how I was able to bridge from here to here. I did talk about what we ate because having lots of detail so that my reader can play that movie in their head helps. My favorite thing that I did was I explained how the tree limbs formed a canopy over our heads. I didn't just say we were in the shade. I talked about how the tree limbs formed a canopy because I really wanted my reader to be able to visualize that and play that movie in their head. Okay, writers, today you are going to remember that personal narratives writers continue drafting. They also ask themselves how they are doing and what they can do to elevate their writing. So go back and look at your goal for writing. Ask yourself what you should focus on today as you set new goals for yourself and look at that checklist. Write three important parts of your scene in order that you are writing today. You've already done that. So if you need to write 3 different ones, you can, but look at those 3 scenes. Then you're going to draft your scene. You need your writer's notebook, you need the checklist, and you need sticky notes or scrap paper. Have fun evaluating your writing and evaluating yourself as a writer, and enjoy drafting fast and furiously. See you next time.